Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and I gotta get focused on me, not Jude Law. Yes, that's Jude Law, playing Captain Hook in Peter Pan and Wendy. That just premiered a few hours ago. I literally turned it on right after midnight, and I'm just finished with it now. It is almost 2 a.m., and I'm doing it for you, because God knows I wouldn't stay up this late any other reason. Yeah, it's an hour and 47 minutes long, and yeah. I'll be up all night anyway. Why can't I clear my throat? Excuse me. Jude. Yeah. Give me back the screen. This is yet another full-on remake, live-action remake of a classic Disney film, but not exactly. You know how some people complain, oh no, why does Disney have to keep remaking? They got the Lady and the Tramp, and they remade Jungle Book, and they did all these different animated classics. Disney's going to do that, period. Rather than remake it animated again, I mean, you got a classic. You're not going to mess with the classic animation-wise. Why not do it in a new medium? Yeah, sure. Some hit, some miss. Pinocchio. You don't know. You never know what you're going to get with this, even with big star power. And this is the kind of thing that normally, before streaming exists, before COVID happened, this would have been in the theaters this weekend. I'm telling you this right now. It would have been in the theaters this weekend. And it might have done okay. It might have done good. But again, there's sort of this attitude that the only thing that really does big box office is Marvel, Star Wars, and John Wick. And maybe an occasional horror film that just comes out of nowhere in a dead part of the year. Yeah, that might really just sort of draw in an audience of an unusual size. Disney doesn't knock it out of the park every single time. This is one of those things that, yeah, it fits. It has the spectacle of a large, big box office movie at times, but it also, I think we're kind of used to these films being small. Not small, but on a smaller screen. Yeah, a lot of us might have a 65-inch screen TV. I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you watch this on your phone. I have no idea. But you want to watch it on a decent screen at home. You can't go to the theater. So watch it on a decent screen if you get a chance, because there are some big moments in this, and they really did pretty great with the effects, especially the flying ship. Of course, I'm not spoiling anything with that necessarily, because that took place in the movie, and of course the kids flying and things like that. You can fly, you can fly, you can fly. All that stuff is, part of the story, the classic story that we know and love. I actually watched the original Peter Pan as part of this series back in the 700th episode or so. Now that's 500 some episodes ago, something like that. 600. I don't know. It's been a long time. So I had to remind myself. I kind of had to recheck some things while I was watching this to see where this film deviated, and it does deviate from the original Disney animated film from 1953. And that's okay. If you want the exact film, if you want this film to be exactly like the animated film from 1953, you can go watch that film. That's the way it should be. If you want it to be even more pure, go read the J.M. Barrie book, called, by the way, Peter and Wendy. So if you're thinking, oh, they're just bringing in women and just being equal and doing other stuff, because of the W word or whatever, you're just wasting your breath. I don't know. I haven't read the original book by J.M. Barrie. I have not. So I can't say what was in, what was not. But I have a feeling that many times books are a little bit more harsh, a little bit more mature. Even though it's a children's book, it's a little bit more, I don't know, let's say raw than a Disney animated film. It's all right. Whether this hews closer to the book, I have no idea. So go read the book. If you're like, what should I feel about this? I don't know. It's, in this case, this makes for a deeper exploration of the relationship between Peter Pan and Hook. Yeah, and it puts Wendy at the forefront even more so, rather than being some sort of, she is, yes, the core of it, but, the original movie, the animated movie, again, I know I'm comparing a lot. You're not going to have anybody talking about this film without comparing it to the Disney original. It's just the way it is. But that one's all full of fun, crazy, wild, silly, wacky things, great humor, great action, everything else, and this has it as well, but frames it slightly differently. It definitely has Wendy wanting to kind of not want to grow up, but she doesn't want to go off like in the original movie. She wants to stay home. She doesn't want to grow up, and of course Peter shows up at the right time to take them away from all of that. Her and her brothers, Jonathan and Michael, they get taken off to Neverland with Tinkerbell, and boom, they're in a whole new world, and immediately people start shooting at them. Just like real life. So, this time it's cannonballs, though, which thankfully miss a lot. Pirates aren't very good shots, apparently, especially when the children are, 1,000 feet in the air. So, they all kind of get, they get separated for a little bit. I'm not going to ruin the whole thing at all. But what you want to see in this, what you want to realize in this is that, yes, the story takes a different path. What we do not get, I'll tell you a little bit, what we do not get is the inherent jealousy of Tinkerbell. There's a little bit. I think you can see that just a tiny, tiny bit. But she doesn't rat out the gang, to Hook, like Peter's secret hideout or whatever. That's not a plot point in this. I think Tink is underutilized in this. She's important to the story and to having certain things happen, but she is not. She's not the same way. Not the same way. I just don't think she shows up as much in this. And we get a lot of time. Jude Law is the big name in this, so you get a lot of time with Hook. Not Dustin Hoffman Hook level, but Hook. We get again, it's mostly about Wendy and through her eyes and her experiences with the Lost Boys and girls, and Tiger Lily makes a pretty important appearance, and she's not just as a damsel in distress. I always thought it was weird that this movie came out in 1953. I don't know exactly when the book was published, but in 1953, I'm trying to think, why are there pirates and Indians, Native Americans, and all in a story with vagabond children and pixies and a boy who never grows up? Why is that all mishmashed into one thing with a bunch of British children in 19th century England? Probably late 19th century. Why? Why is that all together? Why is that? To me, it never made sense. I'm thinking that if this had been modernized and put in the modern day setting, and it would have also been made by Disney, Peter would have shown up, looking rad. I don't know. He would look cool, and he would show up and take the kids to a Neverland that has superheroes and Jedi and God knows what else, talking cars, all sorts of modern things that kids were into, part of culture. In the 1950s, cowboys and Indians were big, pirates, and all sorts of just different cultural things that, that's why Pirates of the Caribbean and so many other things exist within Disneyland. It's part of those adventure stories that kids were into back in the 50s. So, yeah, why not? You're going to put the Old West. You're going to put pirates. You're going to put a haunted mansion. You're going to put giant steamboats. All these kind of things over the years don't... Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion didn't show up at the very beginning. They only got added later. But still, the idea is that that's what kids thought of as adventure. And today, if Peter Pan came to a young Wendy's door, she might be on her phone just looking down, and you might, somebody write that story. You might get a very different Peter Pan story. And imagine Peter Pan is not owned by Disney. It's got to be like, open for use, I imagine, by now. Sure, Guillermo del Toro is going to make a scary version of it at some point, like he did with Pinocchio. But let's just say a little bit more mature. And this is, by the way, more mature than the original animated thing, which it focused on Peter fighting Captain Hook, but we never understood why, and you never got a real resolution. Just losing the battle, Hook losing the battle against Peter, and then being chased away by the crocodile, which he was afraid of because he took his hand. Why? What's going on? What's this dynamic? And we get a lot of that. We get some real resolution. And maybe it didn't matter so much. We had a big adventure seeing the original Peter Pan in 1953. I was not alive. But cartoons and adventure in 1953, maybe we didn't care so much about emotional resolution. I don't know. In this case, we get that to a degree. Does it even leave itself open to sequels? Absolutely, it does. And is there a crocodile in this? Yes, sirree, Bob, there is. There is quite the crocodile in this, and it is freaking amazing. It is one of the more impressive ever. Even the characters are just like, holy, that I was not expecting a crocodile that big. So yeah, it's pretty dang impressive. Where he shows up is very different, but it's still, yeah. I'm not spoiling anything else. I'm going to talk about the actors. Wendy is played by played by Ever Anderson. You might recognize her from Black Widow. She played the young Natasha, like in the beginning of the film when they were little and living in Ohio or whatever. She's the one who took care of her little sister when they had to suddenly escape the U.S. And they went back to the Red Room. So we've seen her before, and in another film that kind of got relegated to Disney Plus when it should have been in the theaters right off. But here she is. She's starring in this one. She is really good in this. Alexander Maloney plays Peter Pan. He's really good. He's got the sass of Peter, and just you have to understand that Peter, in many cases, and people have debated this over the years, that Peter, yeah, he's the hero, but he's kind of super self-absorbed. He's kind of a jerk at times. He's really only cares about himself for the most part and what he wants. And that's kind of brought up to him. And Wendy's not taking his BS. But even though they're friends and they care for each other, he's not exactly how she saw him in the story she told to her brothers. And that's kind of the relationship this movie is to the old animated version. It's not the same Peter. Oh, okay, they are pretty similar in the way they think about themselves. They're really into themselves. But still, the way, to a certain degree, this Peter is a little bit different. And I hate to say mature because that's what he's fighting against, than the Peter that we're going to find. A little bit more complex. Let's use that. More complex than the Peter we find in the old animated classic. So, yeah, we get some changes here, and I think he's fantastic. He's really young, I think, and I think he has a future in playing Peter many more times if he doesn't grow up. So, of course, Jude Law is Captain Hook. We get to see a little bit more about Captain Hook, about who he is, why he is. It doesn't necessarily line up with the animated sequels that they had put out back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Disney was doing that to all their classics, that had or maybe it was even sooner. Tom Hiddleston, I think. Yeah, because Tom Hiddleston played a character in one of the. I mean, yeah. Now I'm remembering that there's a Tinkerbell film. We've seen there's a bunch of Tinkerbell stories on Disney Plus, and that kind of give a different backstory to Captain Hook. So those are not canon, but still very interesting. So I think I spoiled something for you if you have not seen all of the Tinkerbell movies, which are pretty good. I'm not supposed to like them, but I had to watch them because it was selected, and well, it was good. We got a bunch of kids. John is played by Joshua Pickering. Michael's played by Jacob Jupe. Yeah. Tinkerbell played by Yara Shahidi. She was on Blackish and Grownish. I don't know if I like the digital effects they did to just make her just so perfect looking. Like she's a pixie, sure, but she looks so flawless and so digital at times, and that's the only flaw that I see in this that I kind of am annoyed by. She makes a fantastic Tinkerbell. And I know there's controversy and people, you gotta make everybody black now, whatever. Just deal with it. I'm not even gonna give you the time. I gave you too much time by even bringing it up. There is I want to say there's somebody else that's really important here. I know I'm going to miss it. Oh, yeah, Alan Tudyk. Yeah, Alan Tudyk, by the way, needs to appear in everything now. He's the new, Pixar has John Ratzenberger. Alan Tudyk has to show up in nearly every Disney animated film, and also apparently nearly every Disney live action in some way. He plays Wendy's and John and Michael's father. He's not British, but he does a good British accent, I guess. If you're British and you hate his accent, well, you know more than I do, and that's the way it works. Oh, Jim Gaffigan plays Shmi. Comedian, stand-up comedian, plays Shmi, and that's pretty cool. And he doesn't try to be, I don't think he tries to be British or doesn't try to be whatever. He is just Jim Gaffigan, as a pirate's right-hand man. So anyway, that's all I can really say about that without giving out too much more. It's brand new. Literally, I'm going to have this up earlier in the day than I normally do, and hopefully you'll see it and you'll agree, disagree. If you don't, just tell me in the comments what the comments are for. Yeah. Tomorrow. I already picked it yesterday, and I just because my brain farted, and I didn't even bring the number. It already reset itself, so I'm just going to tell you what it was. It was number 467 on my list, and it is the Doc Files. It is a bunch of Doc McStuffins shorts. So honestly, I'll probably watch one or two of those, and then I'll come back here and tell you about it. It's that simple. So the Doc Files, yet another series of Doc McStuffins shorts. That's what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.